meeting. If our deputy clerk could call the roll, please.
Sure. Mayor Trene?
Here.
Councilmember Murphy? Excused. Councilmember Walsh-Russo?
Here.
Councilmember McHugh?
Here.
Councilmember Lepari-Shu?
Here.
Councilmember Carson? Excused. Councilmember Harrington?
Here.
Councilmember Wooden?
Here.
Councilmember Falco?
Here.
If everybody would please rise and we'll do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we'll have our State of the City address, which is by Mayor Mark Drenick.
So welcome, everyone. Nice to see you all. And thank you, Elizabeth Sprague and Corey Rowe and Otsego Media for donating your time to document our State of the City address. Again, without compensation, you continue to inform and promote the city. Folks, your support of our community is a gift, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you to my acting, Councilmember Scott Harrington, for getting us started. Thank you, Scott. I can't begin to tell you how wonderful it is to see you all here, an overflow crowd. Our honored guests, my friends, my community, Betsy, my wife and partner, our committed and talented staff, and our dedicated members of the Common Council. On behalf of the City of Oneonta, I thank you all for your support and for a year of shared accomplishment. And there has been that. You are the best people to be working with in this crucial time. This make or break moment in the history of Oneonta. This pivotal juncture in which our interests and our concerns, our hopes and our dreams for Oneonta all find common cause. An opportunity and a need for creative thinking and collaboration. We should have confidence in our capacity to meet the challenges because we have that capacity. We are the right people to occupy this consequential moment. Marcella Micucci, our director of the History Center and my friend, you've heard this before. There is a spot on Oneonta's timeline for this moment of decision and action. We've inherited the legacy of generations, good decisions and bad. They've shaped us, made us both richer and poorer, more successful and increasingly challenged. But in 2024, in this year, we have a rare opportunity to alter the course of our city's fortunes for generations to come, to make Oneonta safe, attractive, engaging, and economically vital. These are not just aspirations or goals without strategies. We have plans, and in these next few months, we intend to take a big swing, a very big swing. And next Tuesday, in this very same place, thank you, Jeff Doyle and the Foothills for your generosity. Next Tuesday at 6 p.m., we will have a town hall with a twin purpose: to discuss development at 27 Market Street and to provide a vision for Oneonta that I am certain you will agree is transformative. It will flip the script. It will change lives and it will change fortunes. and it will be detailed and all of its points discussed. And I would expect even further improved by your insight and observation, because that's how we need to do things. That's how we'll succeed as a community of neighbors. When information is presented and agreed upon as a fact-based foundation for discussion and planning, alternative facts, distrust for institutions, and even for the motivations of one another may be the rule in this country, but in our city of the hills, we can be confident of our government's conviction and commitment to do its very best. We are human, imperfect, fallible. But look around. Look around. This, you, and you. We are our government. We are all good people with good intention. Whether leading community partnerships, or as attendees at meetings, contributors to task forces, members of boards or commissions, councils or staff, every one of us cares about this city. And we all share the same desire that every day our city becomes a better place to live and work and play. And so, respect for one another, in person and on social media. That should be our standard in every discussion. In city government, that means acknowledging that we can be better communicators to our community. Now, each of us is blessed to be represented by a neighbor whose commitment to the common good compelled them to set aside months of their lives to knock on doors in a campaign for your vote. A vote to be your voice on council, but also to be the leader to whom you should look to for assistance, advocacy, information, and education about issues. You'll be interested to know that the Common Council and department heads and city administrator and the mayor, we had a day-long facilitated retreat in which we tackled communication strategies from every angle. In a time where mistrust is a growing cancer, we need to unleash the antibodies of communication, trust, and confidence in our government and in our capacity to work together. And for my part, I've posted more than 4 dozen videos on social media to keep people abreast of plans and projects. Of course, if people don't see them, that's a frustration. So do me a favor, if you see them, please share them. And every week, every 4 weeks, I provide the papers with a 600-word column, 15 columns a year, same objective. There's one in the paper today. We recently held a 3-hour-long, no-holds-barred Q&A session at NAGS. It was informative, respectful, and it was well received. We will be doing another in about 6 weeks at the Black Oak Chapel. As I mentioned, we'll have a town hall here next week to lay out a very aggressive vision for the city. A transformational vision. And that's what you hired me for. To provide leadership and a shared path forward to a better future for us and those who follow us. And to honor the intentions and the plans and the efforts of those who came before us. We are stewards of Oneonta's history and its possibilities. And I will always be grateful for this opportunity you've given me. To be mayor of the city of Oneonta is an honor and a responsibility that I have held in earnest through the many hours, weeks, and months since my first day. And be assured, I have not taken my foot off the gas. And that continues. But in that, I am not unique. This is a city, though underfunded and understaffed, has accomplished much and prepared the way for more. Here's a partial list of the accomplishments of the past year. We saved our taxpayers over $500,000 with no reduction in benefits to our employees by researching and vetting and ultimately joining a health consortium. We negotiated collective bargaining agreements with 3 of our 4 unions, and we're making good progress on the last. We have new 5-year agreements for the city to provide fire protection and emergency medical services to the town. And we're exploring partnerships with the county on multiple emergency services. And speaking of fire protection, the council approved the purchase of a new Quint fire truck, which is long awaited and much needed. NOPD conducted its first Citizens Academy training, first of many to come. I'm sure that you saw that Muller Plaza was transformed over the summer, which was wonderful. I don't see Kaylor Carpenter here, but Kaylor Carpenter and Fordu, this would not have been possible without them. And on the subject of recreation, fishermen and hikers, how many folks besides me were thrilled to see the Wilbur Lake Bridge construction? Anybody? Yeah, yes, right, yes, exactly. Of course, and as always, there are new sidewalks, there have been repairs and increased ADA compliance throughout the city. The Center Street Bridge and the Clinton Street Bridge reconstruction, those were huge projects, right? Same with the River Street Water Main construction project, and I believe that folks on Gardner Place are quite happy with their streets reconstruction. Somehow, we even fit in a couple of trees, which is pretty impressive. Speaking of which, this year we planted an apple orchard at the Stuart Wilcox house, right across the street from Riverside School, so you should check that out if you haven't seen it. Not just an orchard though. We did tree plantings and took out hazardous trees throughout the city. We are a tree city and proud of it. And DPW was busy with pool renovations and playground improvements and rehabilitation of Wilbur Park basketball court, which by the way looks great. And we installed a smart cities camera and sensor system and the big belly trash cans, which in my estimation are a huge improvement. And you know what else we did? Closed down the Townhouse Inn and demolished the dangerous eyesore that was 27 Market Street and created temporary parking in the new lot. There's more. I'll just add this. The parking garage demolition. When you realize how bad that was, how dangerous that was, and how lucky we are that it didn't come down earlier and injure someone. That wasn't planned, and it's caused us some headaches, well documented, but it had to go, and it's done. So anyway, a very busy year, but one that has paved the way for so much more to come. We have new development. A state-of-the-art transit hub. Beautiful building, by the way, that's area. Tree-lined sidewalks, new lights, all transforming Market Street. Water Street, extended to twice its width with stamped concrete pavement, decorative lighting, and an inviting space to dine out and be entertained. Our plans are to turn Lower D Street into a bazaar with vendors and art and performance and to-go foods and to bring back the farmer's market. So look for that to begin in just a few weeks on April 27th with Earth Day festivities. And connected to that, Huntington Park and the Huntington Library are continuing their metamorphosis with the next phase of construction and a new entryway at the Crossroads Art Plaza and the Children's Discovery Zone. Our library is the jewel and the beating heart of the community, and we are so lucky to have it. Speaking of gems, by late summer we hope to see the Al Galladoro Memorial Stage construction in Muller Plaza. And you know who's going to love that? Tenants of the Ford on Main Springbrook's project, with those great big windows and amazing views. And they will begin renting in, as I understand, a couple of months. I will tell you, the city has an excellent partner with the same shared vision in Patricia Kennedy and Seth Hay and Michelle Sherwood and Springbrook. And we are lucky, and I am grateful to welcome them to our campus. And while many have heard our plans for downtown renaissance and are as excited about it as I am at that beginning, there are a couple of things that require a few minutes in the spotlight. You will be hearing me talk about downtown until I'm done here. A couple of years, I'll be talking about downtown. But of course, Oneonta's business community is far more than downtown. Those businesses are entwined in our neighborhoods, the first ward, the fifth ward, and the sixth ward especially. And in many cases, those businesses define the character of the neighborhoods. But the need for foot traffic isn't applicable to Chestnut or River Street or the East End. Those businesses require patrons that typically arrive by vehicle. So we will need to use downtown as a promotional opportunity for the rest of the city. And in that downtown, no one in this room is ignorant of the challenges that threaten its success. We've established a Safe Homes and Neighborhoods Task Force. It's comprised of more than 36 members, a steering committee, and 5 uniquely charged work groups. Elected officials from the county, the town, and the city, healthcare professionals, service providers, the faith-based community, and passionate community members. They are beginning work to strategically address the plight and to determine options for a congregate location and assistance of our neighbors who are unsheltered and may be dealing with mental health or addiction issues. This strategy doesn't ignore the impact on our neighborhoods or in the community's sense of safety and security. Instead, we get it. We get it. They are two sides of the same coin, so we are tackling them together. Everyone deserves a safe place to live and a neighborhood to enjoy. Jen Reynolds, I don't see her here, but Jen Reynolds and Catholic Charities and so many other caring neighbors, service organizations, and faith-based leadership have been the embodiment of our humanity and our community's moral imperative in providing the homeless with shelter and security on our bitterly cold evenings. Oneonta's warming station has been more than a lifeline, it has been life-altering, which is the goal of our Safe Homes and Neighborhoods Task Force, on which our former council member, Ed Overby, in the front row here, has spent countless hours making contacts, building databases, and putting muscle on the skeleton that I provided. And we have room for you. If you'd like to be part of the solution, just let me know. And among the task force's many members, my friend Julie Dostal of Leaf, I think I saw you here, there you are, who collaborated with Kathy Roddy, who you can always find in the front row, the Narcan Initiative, and the Otsego County Board to secure hundreds of one boxes, bringing a 30-second video training and life-saving Narcan dispensers to the community. You never know if or when you may be the right person in the right place to save a life. I mentioned Kathy Roddy. And not to embarrass her, but she is an example of how Oneonta is made better when new residents add their experiences and energies to the improvement of life in the city. She also chairs our Welcome Home Task Force. And as the recruitment of new neighbors remains a top priority for me, data, by the way, shows that we are seeing more new residents, we are making progress. The Welcome Home Task Force provides them with a warm reception and the resources to integrate themselves quickly into the fabric of life in Oneonta. Among our new neighbors, I am proud to say, are some who sought and found refuge from war, persecution, poverty, and dictatorial governments, successfully integrating into our community through and due to the efforts of our Refugee Resettlement Committee. And it is my honor to introduce you to Raphael Joseph, formerly of Zimbabwe. Would you stand up? And Mario, stay wherever you are, Joseph. And Mario Luis Jimenez Ramirez, who made his way to Oneonta from Cuba. We are so proud to have you here. And so grateful we're able to welcome you to the bosom of our community. You enriched us by joining us as fellow Oneonta. So thank you. Now understand, in Oneonta, our new neighbors are finding an experience unlike anything they have ever known. Picture Oneonta through the eyes of a newcomer to this country. What a wonderful place we must seem. Our sweet little shops, all locally owned, and each the reflection of the passions and tastes of their proprietors, as it is with our restaurants. Oneonta is blessed to have a forward-thinking and collaborative core of leaders in its business community. Elizabeth McElroy, who with her crazily creative other half, James, who I'm pretty sure I saw here. Where are you, James? They have put their indelible stamp on Oneonta. And my personal hero, Vicki Hobart, who is always thinking of new ways to ensure her neighbor's success and then making it happen. Jamie Reynolds continues to lead a team in putting thousands upon thousands of dollars of much-needed funding into the pockets of fledgling and expanding businesses. Judy Pangman, back there someplace, she's overseen that micro-enterprise program for years, and I know that it gives her great joy. And she's not wrong. Ensuring the health and prosperity of our community is everyone's job. And to succeed, we must all come to understand the daunting reality we face. The challenges and the threat they pose. We must agree to a set of facts so that we can use that as our foundation for decisions and actions. There is no room for misunderstanding or preconceived notions, let alone actions or inactions predicated on those. Our city, and especially our downtown, like many others in the Northeast, has been in stasis and decline since the 1960s. Now, for some of us, that's all we've known. Accelerated by the poor decisions made in the name of urban renewal and the simultaneous spread of strip malls and malls and box stores away from the city and along new adjacent highways. For us, that's Southside. But the key word here is adjacent. And I'm going to come back to that. Now that decline is evidenced by vacant storefronts and half-filled restaurants. And even the casual observer will notice our empty sidewalks. Folks, that is the problem. And everything gets solved if we solve that. Seriously. For the last number of years since the closing of Brazil's, and that's a while ago, there have been fewer reasons to visit Oneonta. And so with the lack of foot traffic, businesses have struggled and failed. And as a consequence, we have a Main Street that is half-filled. We've got wonderful stores, we have wonderful stores and restaurants, but not enough to inform the downtown experience. We're all happy to see the slow trickle of new businesses. Great to see them joining our downtown, but it is not enough. And it hasn't been enough to change the perception of downtown. As the perception, if that's another word, I'm going to come back to perception. You know, when Oneonta is perceived as a place you want to be, when we have an event, then everyone wants to be here. And that's the answer. We need to make Oneonta, we need to make a visit to Oneonta an event. It once was. It needs to be again. To turn our economy, to guarantee an expansion and continuing improvement of our shared quality of life, we must fill our streets. Not just for one-off events, but every day of the week. A visit to Oneonta needs to be surprising, engaging, and entertaining, no matter the time, no matter the day. When you see it, the solution is obvious. This is not a reinvention of the wheel. This is eminently doable. Other municipalities have set the precedent. Others who are not as well positioned as Oneonta have been successful and changed their fortunes. We are rich with art and blessed with an abundance of visual and performing artists. And don't look now, but we are a college town. All we need to do is embrace that. We need to embrace the potential of all of that. And with the imminent rollout of our Downtown Renaissance program, we will. The return of the farmers market, entertainment and art on every corner, in every empty space, in our now reimagined plaza, and in a daily bazaar of vendors, performers, and artists in our marketplace on Lower East. We will be a place that residents and tourists will want to spend time in. But understand that the success of downtown will be tethered to promotion of our businesses on the East End, the 6th Ward, and Chestnut Street. Downtown may be the focus for obvious reasons, but its resurgence will need to be impactful throughout the city. And we will make sure that it is. The city's fortunes are inextricably tied to a vibrant, vital, and engaging downtown. Our colleges and Bassett Healthcare understand the importance of our success, and they are all in. Bassett will be co-sponsoring an Old Positive style festival with the colleges I know playing a big part. SUNY, in fact, is just weeks away from opening its doors on Lower East, with what's going to be an amazing addition to our downtown, the Extended and Community Learning Center, EXCL Center for short. Guys, we are so lucky to have the partners that we have in Presidents Mullen and Cardai and Bassett CEO Stacy Thompson. We need to attract visitors to our downtown. We need to attract residents to our downtown. Now, on Tuesday of next week, right here, we will be laying out the vision for that. And I do hope that many of you will join us. In the meantime, I want to come back to those two words, adjacent and perception. Our relationship with the town has never been stronger. And one of our city's greatest supporters is Rick Abbott, the CEO of the Cooperstown All-Star Village. We all have the same understanding that we have a shared need for the city of Oneonta to grow, not further diminish, and that our quality of life and the increasing attractiveness of our city is a prime asset in each of our recruitment and retention efforts. We are adjacent to growing nearby markets, and we have friends and folks that will support and direct many of those patrons and visitors to our downtown. It is on us to promote the events that we have, the venues, the galleries, and the arts organizations whose every day is a struggle, while making our downtown a serendipitous experience that will bring people back for more. We can do that. We have the plan. And we have us, all of us, to make sure that plan succeeds. Which takes us finally to the word perception. The availability of parking is our issue. No one anticipated the loss of the parking rush. As they say, it is what it is. We can get by with what we have. We are working on options, we are. But this is our business. We need to have some awareness of the impact of our complaining to anybody who will listen. Dissuading would-be shoppers from visiting our city because there's no parking accomplishes nothing positive. And it hurts our struggling businesses. And it needs to stop. Instead, we need to face the reality of our infrastructure and our finances. We need to work together to be helpful and a resource in directing people to those parking options that may exist, and they do. When we become a city that people will want to visit, which we will, and with the Downtown Renaissance program shortly, when people want to visit, they will not balk at parting with a few dollars for the day. With the installation of paid parking, we will create more, not less, opportunity for Main Street parking. That is a fact. This will help our businesses, and it will provide a revenue stream to the city, one of many that are desperately needed. And I want you to hear me when I say we will find more revenue. The city cannot operate in a deficit for all of our sakes. To guarantee the quality of life we enjoy, never mind expand and improve it, we need to get out of the red. And we will work with our partners who understand the importance of that. And while I am mayor, I will do everything in my power to ensure that our city staff and the services they provide will not be cut, but will expand to levels appropriate to the new paradigm of the city that is a destination. A place to shop and dine and play and stay. A place that beckons to all who want a better, more enriching, more engaging life. A place where your dreams have the support to become reality. And where the spirit of the community, the faith we have in one another, the respect we show for one another, gives us unique power for collaboration and shared success. It's called neighborhood. It's an Oneonta strength. And it is what I call upon you for this evening. Let's all of us reconnect with that spirit of Oneonta, where we are unafraid of challenge. We embrace it. As we embrace and celebrate each other, we are the best stewards of Oneonta's future. We are the right people in the right place at the right time. We are up to the job. Because the state of our city is strong. We are Oneonta. Thank you for your time.
And with that, those who want to stay for our council meeting are more than welcome to, and those who would prefer to exit stage right, you understand. Melissa, thank you.
You're welcome.
As well, so unless you feel like shouting, please use the microphone. Just pass it amongst yourselves. I'm going to go back the volume off a little Check. Should I put the mic for like public comment? You guys, I'm gonna set this one up over here right now.
All right, well, I appreciate everybody. There's James. I thought I saw you. So, we're still in session, and so with that, we're going to turn to our petitioners' public hearings and correspondence in our agenda, and we're going to start with our public hearing. There is a public hearing on a local law imposing a moratorium on the acceptance of an application for neighborhood markets with the city of Oneonta. Public hearing to receive comments on the City of Oneonta's community development needs and the possible submission of more community development block grants, CBDG, applications for the 2024 program year for housing, economic development, micro-enterprise, public facilities, public infrastructure, planning activities with the principal purpose of benefiting low to moderate income persons. So we will start with the first, the local law imposing a moratorium on the acceptance of applications for neighborhood markets. Do we have anyone here who's inclined to speak on the subject? Yes. Now, well, we may, yeah, who can I, Don, can I ask you to, because you have some knowledge of microphones?
There's one right here.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, that's reduced the public.
Yeah, if
You can shout or you can come over here and use the mic.
well, all right, before you start, I appreciate it. So before you start, what we're going to do is tighten up a little bit on our petitioners and on our public comments. So we'll ask that you identify yourself, tell us where you live in the city, or if you don't live in the city, if you run a business in this city, etc. And then we'll ask you to hold to about 3 minutes if you could, and then we're looking at people having one shot at the microphone. So with that, it's all yours.
Well, first, moratorium, I just want to thank you for taking it up, and I hope it passes.
Chip, will you identify yourself, please?
Oh, Chip Holmes, 53 Deep Street.
Thank you.
I also have a business at 18 Water Street, and I'm building 146 Main Street, so I'm neighborhood business. So I just want to thank you for taking it up. I hope it passes. I think it's very important, so we can really take a look at it, because a lot of us were very surprised to think that a backyard could be a very busy business. It didn't make any sense to a lot of us. So I appreciate you doing this, and I look forward to the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chip. And again, we do have a microphone. It's a big room. Don, I might still ask you to just disengage the microphone and kind of move around if you don't mind.
Yeah, I would recommend using the one in front of you, just hold it up to your mouth.
Yeah, so you couldn't hear me either. So Don, so it's a big room. It's a big room. Don, if you could do me a favor, just disengage that microphone, and if you could connect with those who we recognize, I'd much appreciate it. Don Matheson, everyone. All right, so again, do we have anybody else that would like to speak on this? And there you go, so.
Check.
There you go. So again, if you would just identify yourself and where you live.
Yep, so Kyle Marks, 35 Elm Street, Oneonta, New York. I second Mr. Holmes' thoughts. I hope this gets passed, and that there was supposed to be a legislative committee to address this, which was postponed. So I hope that our thoughts can get discussed at that meeting, where we sent all of our correspondence previously. Again, I hope to see this passed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have we anybody else who would like to speak on this subject? And I see two, so perhaps Charles Hartley.
I think I can
No,
shout.
I'm sorry.
Charles
Microphone.
Hartley.
Hang on a second, Charles.
Excuse me.
We just want to give you the microphone.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Yeah, so Charles, hang on a second. The microphone's heading your way.
Charles Hartley, Central Avenue. I think most of you probably know, but it appears as though this market exception in the neighborhood zoning may be a leftover in the fact that this city used to have every block or two neighborhood markets. They were all over town. And thanks to the Greater Historical Society, Oneonta Historical Society, I've learned about this. It's amazing. This appears to be just a vestigial ordinance, which probably have to be gotten rid of. There's no need for neighborhood markets anymore. Thank you.
And thank you, Jeff. And is Denise over there, please? Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I don't like microphones, I'm too.
And you're Denise Michelson?
And I live on East Street. Yes, Denise Michelson, I live on East Street. I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor, if I'm addressing the right subject. And I go into 27 Market and also the roundabout, or am I not permitted to do that?
Yes, so.
You can do that when you do petitions.
Yes, later on, I'm sorry, Denise, just a little bit later on. All right, so if we have no one else to speak on this subject, this particular aspect of the public hearing, right, that's a bit different. Then we're going to close this portion of the public hearing. We'll move on to the public hearing to receive comment on the city's community development needs and the possible submission of one or more community development block grants, CDBG applications for the 2024 program year for housing, economic development, microenterprise, public facilities, public infrastructure, and planning activities with the principal purpose of benefiting low to moderate income persons. And Judy Hangman is somewhere in the crowd. And I wonder, Jeff, could you, I'm going to let Judy kind of kick this off.
Thank you. We're holding this public hearing as a requirement of the state for the Community Development Block Grant Program. We have to hold this for the 2024 program year. It allows us to be able to apply as we decide what we're going to apply for the housing and economic development, microenterprise, public facilities, public infrastructure, and planning. To date, we've done millions of dollars worth of CDBG applications. We're in the process right now of working on a microenterprise program. It will be our 8th in the city. We've already funded over $1.2 million worth of grants to small businesses since our first program. This one will be up to $300,000. We don't have the final number yet. That's coming. It's going to be between 200 and 300. For any of these CDBG applications that we apply for, we'll be back to council for each one to discuss it, and so the council can go on and authorize a resolution to allow us to apply. But this is a requirement that we have to have a public hearing. Hear your comments if you have any, and I'll apply the CDBG program.
Very good, thank you.
Community Development Block Grant Program.
Have we anyone to speak on this subject? All right, seeing nobody, we're not going to close this yet because I know we have some correspondence on the subject. I'm going to pass the microphone over to you. Would you do the honors?
Okay, I have an email that's received from William Shu, and he kindly asked that we read this letter into the record for tonight's common council meeting on February 20, 2024. Dear City Council members, the intentions of the City of Oneonta for community development block grants must be specifically outlined to the public before any applications for community development block grants are made. The specifics of the community development block grant applications must be given in detail to the City Council and public at large before the CDBG is applied for. A substantial period of time for review before any CDBG application is finalized should be given to City Council and public for review and approval. Changes should be made based on public input and the City Council. Further, no department or individual should be given a blank check as to what the specifics of the community development block grant applications say. It seems that the hearing addressing CDBG tonight is putting the cart before the horse. Someone wants approval to submit a CDBG, but few, if anyone, know the details of what might be submitted. Crossing that bridge when we come to it is really not acceptable. Chances are that neighborhoods could be impacted by specifics of community development block grants. It is my opinion that giving someone the authority to put together a CDBG application without public approval of the specifics of the application is a recipe for disaster. I feel that specifics of the CDBG needs to be evaluated by individual City Council members before any CDBG application is finalized and sent in. Additionally, any community development block grant application needs to be discussed in detail via Housing Commission prior to any CDBG application being finalized and sent in. I do hope a motion could be brought forth that would give oversight by the council to the submission of community block grants by any department or individual of the City of Oneonta. Respectfully, William Shu, 14 Parrish Avenue, Oneonta, New York.
Very good, thank you, Molly. And have we, anybody else that would like to speak on this? Yes, that's Sophie in the back.
Right.
Sophie, hang on.
I'd like a definition of what a block grant is. It's going over my head.
Judy, could you, if you don't mind?
So the Community Development Block Grant Program is a state program. It's actually funded through HUD, through New York State. It's just the name of the program. And they have various grants available to communities across the state with all of those categories that I listed before: housing, economic development, public facilities, public infrastructure. Both of our dam projects, for the upper and lower reservoir dam, has CDBG funding on them. The Microenterprise program is a CDBG program. We currently have 2 housing programs. One's going to be rolling out shortly, which is we're awarded for single-family, owner-occupied, low-income owners for rehab. And the other one is for, it's a program to replace lead water lines for a group of homes that have been identified as having lead water lines. That actually would be a 100% grant to the individual homeowners if they're eligible for that. What else? Like I said, the Microenterprise program, we funded at least $1.2 million. We're applying for another $200,000 for very small businesses. That program is for businesses with 5 and fewer employees and owners. So it's very, very small startups and existing businesses. Planning activities, we've done a couple of studies in the past couple of years. One was on the Armory, one was for housing conditions. All of those were funded with CDBG. It's a really, really good program. It's helped us a lot over the years in getting things accomplished here in the city.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Judy. And there's no one else then to speak on this particular aspect of the public hearing section, then we're going to call that closed. Again, thank you very much to all. We're going to move into the petitioner section, but we also have some correspondence, and as I believe that some of this correspondence is likely to be something that would be reiterated within the context of our petitions. Bonnie, if you would allow me, would you like me to read it? Maybe. So we have the correspondence here from Denise Michaelson, and this regards Roundabout and RSS. So this is the last of our correspondence. More on dangerous, wasteful, stupid roundabout. A few days ago on Sunday afternoon, February 4, I walked near Hardwick College, and I had to cross at West Street in Clinton next to the college. There is a button for yellow flashing lights at the intersection crosswalk. I pressed the button, the yellow light flashed, supposedly telling drivers to stop for me, a pedestrian. No one stopped, 0. I had to wait until several cars passed, and then no cars were in sight. So when DOT claims that all 4 voluntary crosswalks on East Street, 2 on Main Street, 1 on Lettuce, and 1 on Maple will allow pedestrians to cross safely, they are totally wrong. In fact, I've chosen to cross only because of the yellow flashing lights, which supposedly give me the right of way. I would have been right, but dead right, dead. Stop the roundabout. DOT plans for Main Lettuce Maple Street, add a pedestrian crosswalk with red light control at the post office. In fact, install a red light for all traffic with no right turn, no moving cars on both Chestnut Street and Main Street. Lettuce Maple would be our safest controls to protect pedestrians. When I recently wanted to cross Main at Chestnut, many cars were turning right and did not want to stop for any pedestrian because it's a long light, and perished the thought that they may wait for the next green light. Again, I walk many miles every day, all over city, town, county, state, and country, and internationally. Some cities around the world would have full stop 4-way red lights allowing pedestrians to walk all 4 corners or even diagonally. Project manager for this stupid roundabout project, Daniel Odenblum, has seen these intersections. Stop the roundabout project. The protect pedestrians and
non-motor, non-electric bicyclists by installing full-stop red lights to allow us to cross. Create a sidewalk on Lettuce Highway. Project managers have told me, oh, you can walk on the shoulder of Lettuce Highway. So they want us to walk on the shoulder there next to cars, but have voluntary crosswalks and refuge islands, as I described in my last letter, on the other streets. Again, who is this roundabout for? Only for cars, and again, even cars are in danger due to tailgating jerk drivers who will crash into me if I stop for a crosswalk. We all have to watch for all the idiots who run red lights. If the police would walk more, they would see all the jerks who drive with a phone in one hand and run past red lights. So that takes me to the end of the first half of our letter, and allow me to sit. And on the subject of RSS housing. I visited Troy with Christine N. of RSS. I have seen the various affordable housing structures around downtown Troy. They are neat, clean, safe, and community-oriented, and allow persons with limited income, who are far more prevalent in the entire USA than many want to admit, to have safe, clean, maintained rental homes. I have also seen the Makerspace, a totally fabulous large workspace for people to use various high-quality tools for arts, sculpture, woodwork, ceramics, so many projects. This space enables people to use talent or learn new skills and use their time productively, helpfully. It will enable people of all ages to create beauty or useful items instead of wandering streets or being idle or in danger of drugs or alcohol use. Yes, the Boys and Girls Club exists with some facilities, but the Makerspace is superb. I had access to similar space when I was in the USAF, and it was wonderful. Also, I heard many people at the Common Council meeting February complaining about the dirt or filth, drugs, undesirable people in town. This is so nasty, judgmental, insulting to people who have less money than you or me. So prejudiced. One person apparently said she's afraid to walk near these lots. Did she claim to see or fear seeing needles, bottles, trash? I walk that street every day, 3, 4 times, 5 times a day. I often walk around the D Street Lofts building. I see no problem. I know one person who now lives in the building, and she tells me it's great, especially because they fix things. Personally, I find the building to be architecturally terrible, ugly, but from all I personally see and hear from the tenant, it's safe, clean, allows people to live safely, honorably, with dignity, with access to downtown shops and options. The 27 Market Street RSS project would do more of the same, and it would be a far more attractive building than the D Street Lofts from the renderings that I have seen. We must support creating affordable housing here, more people to visit shops. I'm no great shopper, but I see many empty storefronts on Main Street empty for years. This project would probably pay the payment in lieu of taxes, pilot, not regular real estate taxes, just like Hillside Commons, a truly ugly building that destroyed water and streets in my area. We need more sources of taxes. Local taxpayers pay double the tax burden due to college, hospital, and nonprofits. We need to open minds, hearts, and enable people to live here safely, honorably, with dignity. This project might not help some homeless people or some who have been problematic rental history, but it will bring honor, dignity, safety to many people. Is 50 to 60,000 average income? I don't believe that. And we do have one, so that's signed again, Denise Michelson, and we do have one more letter. And this is from Richard Brown to Mayor Drenick and the Common Council. My name is Rick Brown, and I oversee operations of leasing of Clinton Plaza in downtown Oneonta. I'm writing regarding the proposed RSS project at 27 Market Street. As you are likely aware, Clinton Plaza borders 27 Market Street. We have recently heard from some of our retail tenants about this project, and there is concern. We are asking that you do not sell 27 Market Street at this time. We have a significant stake in downtown Oneonta, and we would like to provide input into any future plans for 27 Market Street. It's crucial that the sale is not rushed. At Clinton Plaza, there are numerous long-term vacant storefronts and commercial spaces on both the Market Street and Main Street sides of the building. We've encountered difficulty in finding tenants to occupy those vacant spaces. We hope you will give us a voice at the table. A stronger Clinton Plaza would benefit us all. Thank you, Rick. Which brings us to the end of our correspondence. And again, now at this point, I will open up the floor to petitioners. Let me advise along a few lines. First off, the
petitioners section, which has become increasingly popular, which is great. People, I think, understand that I love the interaction of the community with the government. We are all the government. But as popular as it's become, it has gotten a bit unwieldy, so we will, first of all, kind of reconnect with what the petitioner section is about. This is a place, not a dialogue, but this is a place where you provide us in 3 minutes or less, and that's usually enough time for folks, your opinion, your concern, or your direction. The council does not interact, but what they do is they take that and it informs their thinking as they have dialogue later on in this council meeting or other council meetings regarding things that might be connected to your concern. So that's the purpose of the petitioner section. It's not an interaction, it's not a dialogue. Same strategy here as we advanced before, that you would get up, tell us your name, tell us where in the city you live. If you don't live in the city, but you own property or are invested in a business of consequence in the city, where that might be, and then have at it for your 3 minutes. If we go around the room and people are inclined to speak a second time, I'm going to say, not this time. So one shot with the microphone, and with that, we have somebody right in the front row. So, Brian Chauncey, and pick up the microphone, Brian.
Denise done with her, I know she was.
Yes, but Brian, you go ahead first, and then we can get back to Denise.
I'm just going to read a letter. I'm Brian Shaughnessy at 6 North Belmont Circle, also a Market Street property owner. I'm Brian Shaughnessy. I live at 6 North Belmont Circle. I'm also a Market Street property owner. There was 10 in there. Everybody's got one?
Yes.
So I'm only going to read the first page, and the other pages are just references or documents to back up some of the statements that I'm going to make. So RSS has been here, I guess they were here 3 times, starting December 19th. They did 3 presentations. And there was a lot of misinformation kind of spread around, and there's confusion in the community. And before we have this town hall next week, we're really trying to get everybody on the same page. What does RSS want to build there? I don't know how much council or anybody in the community looked at other locations, but I did spend quite a bit of time looking at some other RSS locations that were recently built. And again, I'll just go through everything. Like 90% of what I'm going to read here is facts. It's not, if there's opinions, you'll be able to figure it out. So, let's see here. Well, the RSS presentations, give you an example, they said up to $60,000 a year that somebody could be living there. They would take tenants who made up to $60,000 a year. I know they said that the first time and second presentation. And then I believe they were told to come back and do a third presentation because they were just exaggerating things too much. So they did a third presentation, they reined things in a little bit, they were still exaggerating. So, like I said, we really need to look at their other locations, what's happening at their other locations. So let me read this letter. I want to share concerns regarding the proposed 50-unit RSS project at 20 Market Street. 2 months ago, at the December 19th Common Council meeting, RSS was asked a question by Council Member Emily Falco. The question was, is there another housing complex like this in a neighboring community? In response, RSS identified Albany, Poughkeepsie, and Sullivan County as areas that have complexes like the one proposed for Oneonta. I don't know if anyone on the council looked at it, or people that plan to vote yes, or people that want to vote for this project. I don't know if anyone has looked at those locations. I'm not expecting an answer. It's a rhetorical question. So last week I conducted research and discovered information on 2 of these complexes. The details obtained from third-party websites shed light on the intended residents of the proposed development at 27 Market Street. Regarding the RSS housing complex in Albany, the property management company, Housing Visions, states the following, quote, the Clinton Avenue Apartments project is a newly constructed 3-story, 20-unit building that provides a mix of affordable housing and permanent supportive housing for formerly homeless individuals with serious mental illness or in recovery from substance abuse. The project serves households at 50% of the area median income and below, end quote. In this housing complex, half the apartments are designated for supportive housing. You can see page 2 for more information on this. I'm just quoting information. Regarding the RSS housing complex in Poughkeepsie, an article by the finance company CPC offers an overview of the development and its 74 units. In summary, there are 50 studio apartments designated for supportive housing, serving residents with incomes at 30% of the area median income. The remaining 24 units, which are not supportive housing, are available to individuals with incomes at 50% of the area median income. See page 3 for the full article. Just like these other locations, the proposed development at 27 Market Street is anticipated to be financed through public funds from various state programs. This public funding will subject the building to stringent eligibility criteria for tenants for a 30-year period, with state audits ensuring compliance. One of the funding sources will be the New York State Supportive Housing Initiative. Currently, RSS is estimating that about 30% of the units will be allocated for supportive housing. However, this number is likely to go higher based on the comparables. The eligible target population for supportive housing is identified as individuals who are homeless and have a disabling condition or challenge, such as a serious mental illness, substance abuse disorder, or those who are re-entering the community from prison. It's important that we understand who will be living in the proposed supportive apartments. A target population for RSS includes individuals who have previously committed crimes, including convicted felons. Unfortunately, many offenders cannot easily undergo rehabilitation. According to data from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, 70% of prisoners released in 2012 were arrested again within 5 years. Point is, when RSS moves convicted felons into a neighborhood, it increases the risk to the local population. As shown on page 6, one RSS client in Albany committed numerous serious crimes, including kidnapping and raping a 23-year-old woman at Knight Point. The victim sued RSS and the organization was found to be negligent. Clearly, the proposed project poses an unnecessary risk to existing local residents.
Right.
Sir, you're done.
Ryan, we're way over. Well,
Okay.
but I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Getting to
Have we anybody else?
Hello, my name is Sue Hartley. I'm at 13 Central Avenue. I am against the massive 25 million RSS housing project proposed for 27 Market Street. The project will be built by out-of-town contractors. Any rent that's collected will be paid to RSS, which is also based out of town. As a nonprofit, RSS may or may not pay full property taxes. I want to emphasize that as far as I can see, this proposal is not for a drug treatment center. The proposal is to provide low-rent apartments to drug and alcohol addicts who have completed treatment elsewhere. People coming to our little city from all over the state of New York will be former alcohol, heroin, opioid, methamphetamine, cocaine, and fentanyl substance abusers. Unfortunately, the relapse rate for substance abuse is between 40 and 60%. A large number of these folks will not successfully stay clean. If 40 to 60% of these residents fail in their attempt to give up drugs, there are a concentrated group of possible buyers and a tremendous temptation for dealers and gangs to move to Oneonta. Housing values for Oneonta homeowners may drop once this housing is up and running due to unfavorable public perceptions and the unemployed and homeless dropouts who will remain in the local community if they lose their housing because of reforms. The assumption that right-sized rents will persuade parents of children of any age to agree to live one door down from former drug addicts is unspeakably cruel. According to an article entitled, "Not in My Backyard," homes within 1/8 of a mile of a drug treatment center sell for between 8% and 17% less than homes located far from such a facility. As the Common Council considers this proposal, please also consider the possible population loss of middle and upper income residents of Oneonta who simply do not want to live near this environment. Oneonta's older residents value safety and security. As one of their numbers, why would I stay in a place where my personal safety might be at risk? We seniors worked hard, we invested our life savings in our houses, we have paid taxes all these years, and we deserve a safe place to live. In conclusion, please say no to RSS and look for a more suitable tenant for this choice lot in a great location. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And again, I don't want to be playing people off. Get back into the void. You were great. You hit it right on 3 minutes. You were great. So if we could follow Sue's lead on that and just try to keep it to those 3 minutes, that'd be great. I think I saw Sophie's head go up in the back.
Is this Ben? Can you hear me? Oh, good. This will be short because I have to give you my apologies that it's not as streamlined as I'd like it to be.
Sophie?
Yes?
Sophie Richardson.
Oh, yes, Sophie Richardson, 143 Main Street.
Thank you much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I was under the impression the RSS was going to be addressed this week, and then I was told that it was going to be in the town meeting next week, but then I arrived today and I found out we are addressing it today. So, off the top of my head, when other people were talking, I tried to put something together. Historically, each span of years is characterized by groups of people who need special care, and they should be able to get that care, but not to the detriment of others and to the city. In the early 1900s, mid-1900s, I don't know the dates because it's off the cuff, people in those days were extremely fearful of TB. I was at a friend's house once and we were going to go up to the TB hospital and visit her father. Of course, I never asked my parents. When I got home, I was told I couldn't do it again. That it was an ingrained fear. So, what did Oneonta do? They didn't, of course, they didn't want this in the business district. They didn't want a hospital in the residential area. So what did Oneonta do? They put it on the hill. Homer Folks TB Sanitarium. It did a wonderful job. I went to a presentation once with a woman who was there as a child. She was frightened and so on, but she turned out to be a wonderful woman and was a very independent person, and she even got to ride a motorcycle in her adult life. So, and it was a benefit to the city of Oneonta. The business district thrived with people who came to see their family at Homer Folks, and it was a wonderful relationship between the city and the deadly disease. So some people at a previous meeting, they said, how come we have so many homeless people in Oneonta? How come they get dumped in Oneonta? Because we have the services here. Well, RSS could build in a better location than 27 Market Street, and they could do as, Hampshire House, the Plains, and St. James have built into their budget ways to transport their residents to their doctor's appointments and other necessary appointments. I'm not putting those places in the same category, but they have found a solution, putting people in a safe place and taking care of their needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Sophie. And again, keeping us to 3 minutes. That was pretty good, Sophie. Dean?
Dean Roberts, Green Earth on Market Street. I'd like to pick up on the mayor's list remarks. We need parking. Maybe less than half of the commercial spaces on Main Street are occupied. If in this great vision in the future we had them all occupied, where are they going to park? Americans don't take buses, they don't ride bicycles, they park cars. And right now, with this new addition to the parking, it's helped our business, and we've lost a lot of spots on D Street. Then the parking garage went down. And I don't like the idea of the RSS, but I think this parking lot has been a very good addition to Market Street. It's 80 or 90% full most of the time, and I went in there the other day, I couldn't get a spot. So I would say we did what we should do, leave it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Have we got anybody else? All right, Denise, did you got some time tonight? Come on up. I'm sorry, Louise, you're next.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you read it well. Not too many people can read my words well.
Briefly, I'm tired of hate.
Denise Michelson from?
Denise Michelson, East Street. I'm tired of hate. I'm tired of stereotypes. I'm tired of prejudice. I'm tired of not my backyard. The only thing that wasn't in the letter, and I dated it, I forgot it was today. And I learned this because I wasn't here, I wasn't here 20 years ago or more. When the group homes were created or wanted, many people said no, 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 no. And they're fine. They're quiet, they're peaceful. The people walk or drive or ride, and they're fine. RSS, as I said, I've been there. I've seen a lot of their places, and I find it, frankly, repulsive, insulting, and obnoxious that somebody picks one situation in one city. There's always going to be a problem. And this country has way too many guns. Okay? I won't go in there. But we need to allow people to have honorable lives, clean, safe, protected.
Thank you, Denise. Louisa?
And then there are 3 more sheets of 33 signatures of petitions, and the petition is for just help opposing the city of the sale of the 27 Market Street property that we've generated another 33 signatures thus far. Incoming. There's some sorry.
I was just stating that the last time the town council meeting, we had submitted Louisa Montianti, 72 Dean Street. Last town council meeting, we submitted close to 77 signatures, just to have the city stop and reflect and not sell the property here on 27 Market Street. What I've given to the council and what's being distributed is just bullet points. I am not opposed to profitable mid-level income housing. I'm not opposed to people having a safe place to live. That's not what the agenda is. It's the location. My vision and my proactive approach is and asking the council to really do your due diligence on why would we sell this for housing. It is a prime retail location. We talk about the vision market, and I love your speech, and I love your vision about having all of those things that are facilitating what a happy city should look like. But unless we bring larger entities and businesses to the heart of downtown, you're not going to have tourists coming. What are they coming for? You should see the looks on people's faces when they're coming out of Lockdown Lounge and they see nil happening. So back to the 3 minutes, but what I've submitted is just a quick bullet point. Dear Mayor, County Council, and City Administrator Mattice, please stop and, think and take leadership on real life-changing choices for Oneonta. We elected you, the County Council and Mayor, to build a community and have a vision to fix the real problems. What's the rush with this RSS project? We need to be careful for this project not to be rushed. The 34 Dean Street project is a perfect example of what is bound to happen if we don't explore better options. Once it's built, then what? Why did the 6th Ward residents go against the proposed RSS project for their neighborhood? I've included attachments following this first page. And the attachments are from news articles that were posted back in 2018.
First one, March 20th, April 3rd, and then May 19th. And there's many others. I just, try to limit my time here. But before you add more issues to our community, what's the business plan? I'd like to know from you, before we go into selling this project, what is the business plan for Oneonta? The DRI plan that was established, who is working that document? How is it being used to develop our community growth? Building a community with divisive measure will not fix Oneonta, and you have to stop dividing the city. And I know that you're trying to be inclusive, and you have done an amazing job in reaching out to our community, Mark, and asking for those to come in and help and submit their ideas. That's not what I'm saying, but there is a divide, and it's only going to get greater because absolutely, the Facebook posts that I'm seeing are appalling. And I'm not going to banter in those Facebook posts, but those are actually elected officials. And if you've seen them, and I'm not asking you to go see them, I'm not going to go post them, but it's concerning because those same elected officials who actually work at a state level that I saw was opposed to this project back in 2019. So we have to be careful what we're saying, what messages are we getting? So the investment class in this community has been driven out because the small tax base is tired of paying for community of the taxes in Oneonta. Why is 52% of our property assessment value not on the tax roll? Another point that I want to make is, why did the county direct Dan Lappin for this 5th and 6th ward fight? And he stated he opposed and he helped to stop this RSS proposed plan for the 6th ward in 2019. I'm going to reference that, and I highlighted some bullet points in his letter that he wrote to the editor, and I know my time is coming up. But he says, therefore, I oppose it. I've highlighted in your sheets the second list. I am for building more affordable housing in Oneonta, which I am too, that will provide good homes for hardworking families, but don't be fooled that not what RSS is planning. The housing that they want to build is primarily for folks receiving public assistance from one form or another. Of particular concern to me is the unit set aside for the individuals recovering from drug and alcohol abuse. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, 40 to 60% of people with sustained abuse problems in rehab eventually relapse, returning to a life dominated by drinking and illegal drug use. That fear potentially brings additional social problems. Down to the point, the inflammatory rhetoric by RSS combines a controversial land use proposal with an outreach that is accustomed, and this is in every community that they go to, and we don't want to be bullied, that's all we're saying, is they are accustomed to aggressive tactics to get their way. Is this the kind of development we want for City of Oneonta? Rather than taxpayer-funded new construction, we should really, truly focus on those blighted housing in every ward that you manage, right? And look at that development and do an infill development. He suggested that. He's part of the state planning board. Why can't we get money for that? We should rehabilitate properties that could house populations that are needed throughout our city. We should explore those opportunities before considering RSS to press the project. That is signed in Lappin. Well, lastly, I am just going to point out to you, I actually had conversations, and in our last county council meeting, you said that you were going to FOIL request, the amount of incidences with the city police and the fire department attending. I actually went and spoke to residents that live there. The bullet points, these are their quotes. I am not going to read them all, please, I implore you. I will, point out a couple of things that residences that are there, not all of them, are fearful of living there, right? They are amongst criminal activity.
We do have to kind of.
Okay, a couple more points though is that, I'm so sorry, just, they don't feel safe. There's a lot of illegal activity. There is a constant presence of police officers that are going there. Children that are living there have seen drug deals seen people using. There's burglaries, overdoses. I'm not sure about the suicides. That was said. Until you show me FOIL request, I have no idea. And then that's unfortunate that happened because I understand. Stealing of personal property, stealing of Amazon packages, laundry carts that are missing, 45 reported fire alarms. There's squatters in the building. The public bathroom was also shut down. We can go on and on and on. And I am just asking again, the county council, and then next week I will be here, but please read through these, the articles that are posted in the local newspapers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
My name is...
And again, your name and your address, thank you.
My name is Ben McGill. I live at 72 Maple Street.
Okay.
Ben, you can take that microphone up a little bit.
I just want to remind the council and everyone here that I've heard twice now the statistic that 40 to 60% of drug users relapse, commit crime, bring danger to communities that attempt to help them. And I would just like to say that many studies over decades and decades of research, as well as just American experience with black markets, things like prohibition, have proven to us over and over again that separating those who need help from their communities are the things that cause them to return to drugs. Their isolation from the help that they need is the thing that causes them to go to jail in the first place, that causes them to be violent. And fear-mongering rhetoric about our fear to interact with those who need us most is the thing that generates crime, gang violence, you name it. And I think that we should attempt to be brave and do the right thing and face those challenges despite those challenges, because it will create a better world tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. Have we anyone else? Yes, in the back. Yes, Mike.
So I agree entirely with what this gentleman just said. Michael Holzer, I live at 142 Southside Drive. I own a number of properties in the city, and including the old VFW at 97 Main Street. And I agree completely with what he said. People need help when they need help, and they need to get it in a way that serves them best. Sorry, I hate hearing myself say it again, but plunking them down within easy walking distance of multiple bars, putting them in the middle of the party district is so irresponsible, it really makes me angry. And the use of that particular piece of property in terms of the business potential and the growth potential for the city is also irresponsible. To give it up in such a way, and I understand the city needs to fill the coffers, that we're in the red, but it seems like an act of desperation. And I just want to repeat a story I had that I live by. It comes up often. When I was in my 30s, I had a really good friend who was about 30 or 35 years older than I, and while I was in college and protesting the Vietnam War, he was the commander on an aircraft carrier in the Gulf of Tonkin, and he was just a remarkably wonderful man. And one of the things he said to me that I'll never forget is that Navy fighter pilots are trained in the event of an emergency, don't do anything. Because in haste, we're much more likely to make a mistake. And this is a serious issue that has to be considered and investigated. We don't have anywhere near enough real information. And then rushing into this is, and again, repeating myself from the last time I spoke, sorry, Mark, if I'm boring you, but no, just watching your watch, and that's what happens when you get to be your age.
All right, well, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, well, let's think about this. I mean, really.
And again, I'll ask, we have Charles again, 3 minutes, and this is your first on this subject, and go ahead.
I'm Charles Hartley, and I forgot where I live, Central Avenue. I was going to propose arguments and things, and then I thought, I don't want to say anything repulsive and obnoxious. I will actually present you with facts, things that I learned, and you can check up on me. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. It's a city on the west coast about the size of Albany. Many years ago, these good people of Portland found that there was homeless, mostly high school children runaways. So they provided service for these people. And then in the course of a few years when I was maybe approaching high school, it turned out this is an attraction. Young people from all over the West Coast were going to Portland, Oregon because they had it good. These people were being taken care of. The people who were providing these services were compassionate individuals. Unfortunately, there was unforeseen consequences. With them came drugs. With them became shoplifting and petty crimes and things to support their habits or mishabits. And then with that then came a need for increased police presence. This followed, this maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years before the COVID hit. What happened, there was lots of homeless people. There have always been homeless people, but there was more. And these people came to Portland, Oregon, and they were also provided with shelter and things like that. Compassionate people. And then there was more homeless people. They started to have some kind of a protest in the middle of town. And the protest got out of hand because during that night, the band actors came into town and busted up. And there was, but the city council and the mayor said, no, don't arrest any of these people because they have a right to be there illegally parking on the sidewalks. This escalated because that attracted more people. The homeless people then came into town. Look it up. You can see there. Check it out on the webpage. Not my opinion, it's reality. It got to the point a year or so later that there was block after block after block of the central downtown district of Portland, Oregon was just filled with people camped out on the streets, drug addicts, crime, etc. Businesses were boarded up. There was a department store. It was a quarter block department store, 12 stories tall. It had been there for 100 years. They simply went out of business and abandoned it. At one point, 12 or 14 square blocks of the downtown of Portland, Oregon was completely gone. The buildings were there, but the businesses were not there. And at this point, of course, the city could not do anything about it. It's impossible when you have 10,000 people who are parked out on the streets. There was people camped out on the edges of the throughways, not just a few of them, but camp. The police can do nothing. What are you going to arrest them and take them to jail? There's no jail that'll hold them. They would spend a little time in jail if they were released. Where are they going to go? There's no place to put them. So the unintended consequences of being compassionate toward people is possibly, if you're not really careful, to actually generate a problem that you cannot solve. We cannot solve the problem here because we don't have the resources to actually provide the care that these people need. What we're doing is going to house them in a building right here, and that's it. They've already had the rehab. They're just going to be sitting there, and half of them probably will return to bad activity.
Thank you very much, Charles. Thank you. All right. So what I would suggest is that we have heard a lot of points now kind of reiterated from different voices from different angles, but many of the same points. So on the 27th, and you know, God bless you all, because this is what we want. So appreciate hearing all this. But I do believe we've probably reached a place where we're now more repeating. So rather than doing that, because we have an agenda that we want to get to, I will invite every single person here. And I hope that you come, and I hope you bring, you know, friends with you. On the 27th, which is next Tuesday, same place, you know, same bad time, same bad channel. Right here, we'll be doing a town hall that will incorporate the 27 Market Street building and you know, all of the things that you are looking for and in terms of information. And we'll also be providing an overview of the strategy for the city so that you can see too what the larger plan is and how some things might fit in context. So with that, and then there will be a Q&A, and we will stay here until midnight until everyone has felt fully satisfied that their answers have been provided. So that will be next Tuesday, the 27th, right here at the Foothills. And again, I thank you all for your participation. Will it be videotaped? Will it be videoed? I would imagine we can figure that out. We've got a week to do it.
So again, I thank you, and we're going to move on now with our boards. No, actually, I'm sorry, with our, yeah, okay, thank you. With our presentation on the pro-housing community program, and I believe, Stephen, we still have you?
Someone had a comment on another issue before the board. Is that helping out with it?
I'm sorry?
If someone had a commentary on another issue other than the housing on Mark Street.
Paul, is it something that needs to happen in this moment?
I was wondering if there's a public session.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, Paul, yes, come on up and we'll give you the 3 minutes.
Just briefly on the Seco Street setback for the parking and whatnot, on the trucks and buses, I saw that in the paper today, and that really does need to be set back. It is just crazy there. I just wanted to get up down the street, lots of vehicles, big vehicles, and that's not the best. I do have comments on the other ones, but I'll hold that for another time.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul, I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm sorry to be cutting it short there. I misunderstood where you were going. So again, thank you. We'll move to our presentation, and Jeff, you're facilitating that, it sounds like. Yeah. And Steve, you're still here. Perfect, thank you. Give me the microphone, Steve. Or do you have one?
There we go. All right, so this is way less exciting. This is just a boilerplate state program. So we'll kick this off. It's not going to be very controversial. It's a pro-housing community program. What is it? So on July 18th of 2023, Governor Kathy Hochul signed an executive order 30, directing state agencies, authorities, entities to prioritize the allocation of certain discretionary funds to those localities that promote the construction of housing. The intent of this executive order is to create additional housing units throughout New York State. The program goals are met by prioritizing discretionary funds in communities that are certified for the pro-housing program. So when this was originally drawn up, this was not something that we were required to participate in. It was just something that the state was saying, we're encouraging you to, and when you apply for state funding, programs that are certified will get priority over communities that are not. This information is directly from the governor's office. They list that basic statistics about rents, new homes that are needed. Basically, this is just information from the Census Bureau that the governor's office provided in conjunction with this particular housing program. And then at the bottom, the census information, basically the median gross rents, median selected monthly owner cost of the mortgage, household incomes, and persons in poverty. This is all for New York State. So then, if you look at Oneonta, you see the median gross rents are close to $1,000. Your median selected monthly owner cost of the mortgage is right around $1,400. The median household income is $62,000. And our persons in poverty rate is approximately 20%. This is basically a screenshot of all of the planning documents, studies, etc. that we've done that say we need housing. The city of Oneonta does not have enough affordable housing, it doesn't have enough market rate housing, it doesn't have enough housing for pick a demographic. These studies will tell you that we do not have enough housing for it. Why does it matter? Well, because prioritizing discretionary funding to communities that are certified through the pro-housing program impacts grant funding availability. What that means is that if we do not participate in this program, when we make applications to receive grant funding, we will not be eligible for those funds. Basically, the state has a carrot and stick, and they're connecting them together. If we want funding, we will participate in this program. If we do not want to participate in those funding lines, then we can choose not to participate in this program. On a more positive note, housing is the need that impacts all aspects of our community's health. And housing availability encourages more equitable, accessible, and vibrant communities. So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of planning studies, academic and practical, to support the idea that housing for all demographics of the community lead to better communities. That is not an opinion, that is a studied fact. We accept that in the planning community. It is just proven over and over again in communities across the country. So, these are the programs we would not be eligible for if we are not a certified pro-housing community. The DRI, the New York Forward program, the New York Main Street program. By the way, the New York Main Street program funds things like the Oneonta Theater. So those are programs that we take advantage of. Those are programs that we've utilized in the past, and I will imagine moving forward additional funding lines will be added to this program. How do we get there? There are two options. One option is we provide a zoning map, we provide a zoning code summary, and we provide our housing and planning and building permit information for the past 5 years. And we have to show that we had a 0.33% growth in the last year, or 1% in the last 3 years. Option two is basically the same thing, except we're required to make a resolution through the Common Council. For us, because we've met that 0.33% growth rate, all we would need is a letter of intent to provide this information, and we would be a certified pro-housing community. There's no additional requirements. We just have to show what we've already done, which is increase our housing stock by 0.33%. A letter of intent has already been drafted, provided to the city administrator to meet the requirement. So it would basically just be providing this information. It would then be reviewed by the Department of State, and upon their review, which I would assume would be fine, we would then be certified. The way we made that is basically the Lost on Heats, Springbrook project, and then we have additional housing units being created in a separate structure that's currently being funded through the Restore New York project. And that's it. So basically, this program just wants to see.
What was the question, Steve? We couldn't hear we couldn't hear what the question was.
Regarding individual homes or more buildings?
Well, it could be both. Essentially, what this program is asking for us to show is that we've created housing units.
Why can't we build more homes?
We could.
Where would we build it? Where, in the city?
Anywhere. So you're building housing units.
Anywhere.
So folks, I appreciate that, I really do. But you've got all these elected council members that, in fact, are the ones that we'd expect to be asking questions at this point. I'm sorry?
Yes.
Oh, show you the microphone? Okay.
First, a quick question about the poverty rate in Oneonta. And this may sound like an exam question, but would you know what the poverty line actually is in terms of that number? What are people living at that are considered poverty level?
So we have that information, I just don't have it on the slideshow.
Yeah, I think it's actually incredibly low if it's federal poverty line level that's used for the state, which I assume it is.
Right.
So it's incredibly, there's the working poor that we're not talking about in this.
Right.
Just to add that. I had a question about the use of sustainability and having sustainability goals incorporated into this economic development plan. So, does the state have anything about these units that are going to be hypothetically constructed? Are there going to be anything in terms of creating various units that would have sustainable energy provided for occupants?
So New York State has an energy code. The energy code requires certain standards to be met in order to get a CO, basically. So new construction in New York State is, I'm not going to say that it's like a LEED certified building, but new construction in New York State does require sustainability, basically compliance with the energy code. That code only is increasingly more stringent, so as we move forward, as that code is updated, it will become more and more kind of in line with some of those higher performing buildings. Specifically for this program is more looking at housing density and less about how they're constructed. So what we're looking at, and I think what the goal of this program is to basically collect zoning data from municipalities and basically evaluate like what is the percentage of land use that's dedicated to like single-use housing, like single-family homes versus two-family homes versus three-family homes. So what this program is really looking at is basically just mapping data from all these communities and trying to come up with ways to increase housing density in existing municipalities.
Thank you. That's very clear.
Do we have any other questions from council?
Yes.
Yes, Katie?
Okay, I'm gonna try my best to phrase this, but I think that I'm just trying to understand it and how it impacts. So I was late to the presentation, so first of all, I apologize. And this may have been covered. So on the why does it matter slide, it says prioritizing discretionary funding to communities that are certified, which I love. What does that look like? Does that mean we are more eligible for grant funding?
What it would mean is that if we don't participate in this program, we will not be eligible at all for these funding funds.
Okay, gotcha. The ones that were listed.
Yeah, so originally this program was not mandatory. It was something people could opt into. They've kind of changed that now. They're saying that if you do not participate in this program, you will not be eligible for some of these funding lines.
Wow.
So for example, like New York Main Street, like that is a fairly robust program that we engage with. Like for example, the Oneonta Theater received a large grant through the New York Main Street program. Other projects like, potentially like an Oneonta Hotel project, that might be a project that would be eligible for Main Street grant. And we would want to be able to go in for those funds.
Okay, and would it also, so I read that one of the objectives of the CDBG grants is to, oh really? Okay, I don't want to be like yelling at people, so that was on purpose. Okay, I don't do it with a microphone. Okay, CDBG is looking at restoring existing structures rather than potentially like building new ones for housing specifically. It actually excludes like building new housing. Really? Wow. Okay, but then there's an echo. All right. We'll get used to it. Okay, so I just read that it excludes new housing projects. The idea is to rehab existing housing. So I guess I'm wondering, like, can these two programs be sort of partnered together? Because it sounds like this is about not only building housing, and that actually leads into my next question, but yeah, can the CDBG be used for adding additional units to existing housing stock? And can they be used kind of in conjunction with each other?
For the most part,
I'm going to try to start this out too. Hold on one second. Because I definitely can't hear you. And I want to hear what you're saying.
So the CDBG applications that we apply for housing are for, mainly they're for rehab. They can be first-time homebuyer programs, which is, those are combined with housing, so they're for rehab. So first-time homebuyers will help somebody buy their first home, but also give them money to rehab it as well. Stephen, can you change that to the list of grants? It's possible that the state could add that to this listing. These grants are actually state funded, and the funding is provided through the state. So the CDBG grant program is probably not up here because that money comes from the federal down to the state. So that has different requirements. If we're a pro-housing community, that certainly can help us, and CDBG is one of our tools in the toolbox. So yes, it could work with this, but it doesn't come under this purview yet.
Okay, thank you. All right. It's a two-parter. Is the intention then to increase density in our residential zoning districts? So, and then with that, like, would that ultimately, and I know that that's sort of up to the council, but would that ultimately inspire, you know, changes to the zoning code in order to make it more like mixed use?
So currently, most of Oneonta is zoned for single family use. I mean, most of our towns. Programs like this basically want to look at zoning codes that are written that way and find ways where those zoning codes could be modified to allow the creation of more housing units. I mean, that is a state goal.
Okay, so we're
But
saying
that's
the
a
same
local
thing.
determination by the city council. So what we can do is that we could argue that we don't want to change our zoning ordinance. That would be something we'd have to do at a local level. But that's not to say that the council might, that's not to say that the state might not tie programs like this to updated zoning codes.
Right.
So in the future, to recertify for this program, we might have to show that we've made modifications to our zoning code. We might have to show that we're continuing to meet those housing unit, like those goals of developing more housing units.
Okay, thank you.
Any other council member have? Any other council member have anything they'd like to add to the conversation or a question of Stephen? Stephen, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. All right, and again, I'm sorry.
What's the next step with this? We got the presentation.
So the question Councilmember Harrington has is, what's the next step of this?
You sign the letter and send it in.
So the state requires we provide a letter of intent to participate in the program. We drafted that, provided to the city administrator, kind of, it's basically copying the language that the state wants for these types of program applications. Once that letter is provided, we'll provide the zoning map, we'll provide all the documentation showing the number of housing units we've created, and we'll provide the zoning survey, which is basically, essentially goes through and requires you to provide all the zoning districts, what type of housing they allow by right, what type of housing they allow by special use permit, whether you allow accessory dwelling units. It's basically just a review of the residential aspects of our zoning ordinance. That would all be provided to the state. They would then review it. There's a 90-day period where they could respond. They would send us back a response saying that we're either certified or that we need to make some sort of modification. But because it's a new program, we don't exactly know what that process looks like.
So we're already in the program, right? Because we opted in.
Is it opt-in?
Yeah, we already opted in, right?
Yeah, well, it's opt-in or we lose the option being able to get our grant. So yes. Are there any? Judy?
I just wanted to add.
Sorry, Judy.
I just wanted to add that our timing is, the state has 90 days to approve this, and we're trying to get this in before the next CFA round, or Consolidated Funding Applications round. They usually come out in April, they're due in July. We'd like to have this in place in case we go for any of these grants, which is possible. We might go for New York Main Street, we don't know what yet.
As I can see you now, Scott, you have another question?
Yeah, for a city attorney.
For the city attorney.
So Dave, can Greg just draft this letter, or do we need to have some type of form?
I can't hear you.
Can Greg just draft this letter saying that we want to opt in, or does there have to be some kind of action by the council allowing him to draft that letter?
I haven't seen it yet. I don't know the requirement, but I would expect that the mayor would have to do that, but I'll look at it.
You haven't seen it, you don't know the requirement, you expect that's the case?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'll look at it and advise.
Thank you.
Right. I love the room. It's a big room, though. So So with that, I do believe that I can say thank you very much, Stephen. And before we go on to our the rest of our agenda, again, reaching out to you, Paul Patterson over there, to just extend my sincere apology for cutting you off. I'm very glad. Thank you very much, Councilmember LaFari Chu, for sort of opening me back up that conversation. So with that, we'll move on to our board committee and commission task forces, of which I know of no presentations to be made. Similarly, our committee reports, I don't believe are listed here, that we have any committees that are reporting. And so we'll move to our approval of warrants with a motion, number one, that the common council approves the warrants totaling $324,632.37, and the same be placed on Director of Finance's desk for payment as presented. Do I have a motion to approve? Scott Harrington, followed, oh my goodness.
It was Cecilia.
It was Cecilia, okay, thank you very much. It's a long way down there. We'll take the vote, please. I don't believe there's any discussion, so we'll take the vote, please.
Councilmember Murphy is not here. Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFari Chu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Aye.
Councilmember Falco.
Aye.
All right, and that takes us to the consent agenda, and the consent agenda having been something that's been reviewed by council, has been posted to the web these last multiple days, and is in fact, by definition, consent. We will look for a motion to approve. Do I have a motion, Emily, followed by Scott? And there would be no likelihood of discussion there, as it's a consent agenda motion, and with that, we can call the roll.
Sure. Councilmember Murphy is absent. Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFari Chu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Aye.
Councilmember Falco.
Aye.
Very good. All right, now moving into the discussion agenda with motion number 8. The common council approves the city administrator's appointment of Leonard Balducci III to the position of police officer at a base annual salary of $51,500, PDA salary grade P1, effective February 26, 2024, subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service and pre-employment requirements. Do I have a motion to approve? I see Shannon and I see Katie in that order, and so discussion. Do we have discussion, Scott? I hate this.
Yeah, I asked for all these to be pulled because I think it's very important that new staff coming into this organization has the privilege of having their name there, that they're coming on board with us.
Thank you. Further discussion? If not, then if you would please call the roll.
Councilmember Murphy is not here. Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFari Chu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Yes.
Councilmember Falco.
Aye.
Very good. Motion number 9, that the common council approves the city administrator's appointment of Joseph Cianun, I'm so sorry, Joseph, Chinchillo, to the position of police officer at a base salary of $51,500, PDA salary grade P1, effective February 26, 2024, subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service and pre-employment requirements. Do I have a motion to approve? I see Bryce, and I see Katie. Bryce called Katie, and we have discussion. And we do not, so when you finish that, if you would call the roll.
Sure. Councilmember Murphy is not here. Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFari Chu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Yes.
Councilmember Falco.
Aye.
Wonderful. Motion number 10, that the common council approves the city administrator's appointment of Ethan Helfer to the position of police officer at a base annual salary of $51,500, PDA salary grade P1, effective February 26, 2024, subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service and pre-employment requirements. And do I have a motion? I see Bryce, and I see Katie. And I presume discussion? None? We'll vote.
Councilmember Murphy is not here. Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFarge.
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington or Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Yes.
Councilmember Falco.
Aye.
Motion number 11, that the common council approves the city administrator's appointment of Aaron Fuller to the position of administrative specialist at a base annual salary of $39,500, CSEA salary grade C3, effective February 21, 2024, subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service and pre-employment requirements. Do I have a motion to approve? I see Katie, and I see Shannon. So I feel like romping here. And so, discussion, do we have any? We do not. And so we'll move to a vote.
Councilmember Murphy is not here. Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFarge.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Yes.
Councilmember Falco.
Yes.
Motion number 12, that the common council approves the city administrator's appointment of Daniel Lynch to the position of ordinance inspector at a base annual salary of $39,500, CSEA salary grade C3, effective March 4, 2024, subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service and pre-employment requirements. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, followed by Emily. Discussion is not going to happen here, and so we'll move on to the vote.
Councilmember Murphy is not here. Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFarge.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Yes.
Councilmember Falco.
Aye.
Okay. Motion number 13, that the common council approves the city administrator's appointment of A. Michael Nader to the position of senior wastewater treatment plant operator at a base annual salary of $55,500, CSEA salary grade C7, effective February 21, 2024, subject to the satisfaction of all applicable civil service and pre-employment requirements. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved, says Katie. And Shannon seconds that, and so she beat you to it, and so we will move to a vote.
Okay. Councilmember Murphy is not here. Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFarge.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Yes.
Councilmember Falco.
Aye.
So who says we can't get things done here, huh? Moving on to motion number 14, that the common council authorizes the mayor to enter into an agreement with the county of Otsego for the period of March 6, 2024 through December 31, 2028 for the provision of a city prosecutor services as presented. The city shall reimburse the county for provisions of said services, including administrative support, based on actual costs incurred. This item is subject to review by the city attorney. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved, says Katie, and Emily follows with a second. Do we have discussion on this? Any discussion? Okay, that's great. So we'll move on to the vote.
Councilmember Murphy is not here. Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFarge.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Yes.
Councilmember Falco.
Aye.
Motion number 15, that the common council authorizes the following budget transfer to A.1110.1 judicial professional services, $81,000 from A.1110.1 judicial personal services, $51,000 from A.1110.81 judicial social security and Medicare, $3,900 from A.312.0.1 police personal services, $26,100. Do I have a motion to approve? MP?
Second.
By Katie, seconded. And discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote.
Councilmember Murphy is not here. Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember LaFarge.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Yes.
Councilmember Falco.
Aye.
Motion number 16, that the Common Council approves the following resolution, a waiver of residency requirement for city prosecutor. Whereas the city prosecutor has resigned his position effective January 31st, 2024. And whereas the city of Oneonta has entered an intermunicipal agreement with the county of Otsego, in which the county has agreed to provide city prosecutor services to the city, and whereas the County District Attorney's Office employs qualified staff to provide city prosecutor services, therefore be it resolved that the city of Oneonta hereby waives the requirement for the city prosecutor to be a resident of the city of Oneonta, effective immediately, and so long as the intermunicipal agreement with the county remains in effect, and be it further resolved that the Common Council concurs with the mayor's recommendation to appoint Brett Cowan as city prosecutor effective March 6, 2024, pursuant to the city's intermunicipal agreement with the county. That's the end of that. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Katie, followed by Scott. Do we have discussion? We have no discussion. Can I take a vote?
Councilmember Murphy is not here. Councilmember Walter Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember LaParche.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Yes.
Councilmember Falco.
Aye.
All right, move to motion number 17. Motion that the Common Council approves the following resolution. Whereas, because of the resignation of Councilmember Emily Falco, effective February 29, 2024, there exists a vacancy for the position of Councilmember A. Ward. And whereas the mayor, pursuant to the provisions of Section C-23 of the city charter, is given the power and directed therein to appoint a person to fill that vacancy until the next general election, subject to the approval of the Common Council. Now, therefore, be resolved that the mayor hereby appoints Don Matheson to fill that vacancy during the unfulfilled term of Ward 8 Councilmember Emily Falco, and the Common Council concurs with that appointment. This appointment is effective March 1, 2024, and will expire December 31, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve? Bryce, followed by... I'm so sorry about that. I'm brain cramp there. Followed by Cecilia, and do we have discussion? Any? Can I take a motion? Oh, we do have discussion. I'm so sorry.
Want to give their...
I could just ask you, and then you could reiterate my question.
Sure, that's fine.
Could you just speak to, like, how you came to this determination?
Yes, actually, that I welcome that. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Don Matheson. I'm a big fan of people who are pragmatic and open-minded, and are willing to listen, but also willing to do the hard work of digging through and finding the detail that sometimes eludes others. And Don's position as a reporter of these many years, he reported on the administrations of, I don't believe John Lindsay, but certainly did you have a beam?
I knew all the mayors from Wagner to the current one.
Yeah. So moving on, anyway.
Nobody knows who Wagner is.
Right. So Ed Koch, I know for sure. David Dinkins, I know. He's watched the sausage being made. It's an interesting perspective that he has, and I think his experience and his background and his desire to be an asset to the community in this moment is something that I highly commend, and I think informs my decision as I interviewed multiple people that I'd like to see Don Matheson fill that role for these next 10 months. That's it.
Did you speak to any 8th Ward residents?
I did, yes.
About, suggestions that they might have had?
Yes, did I speak to any 8th Ward residents about suggestions that they have? Yes, absolutely, and I interviewed about 5 other candidates.
Wow, okay.
And they were all wonderful. They're all great. I'm going to put them to work on other things. And some of them, in fact, may wind up running, come November. But Don, if you guys will approve, I think will be an excellent addition to this council for these next 10 months and potentially beyond. Further questions?
All right, with that, can we take a vote?
Councilmember Murphy is not here. Councilmember Walter Russo. Aye. Councilmember McHugh. Aye. Councilmember Lepage Shue.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson is not here. Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooden.
Yes.
Councilmember Falco.
Aye.
Congratulations, Don.
Thank you very much.
We will swear you in our next meeting before the council meeting begins, so.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, with that, we now take ourselves through the agenda to our city administrator's report. And with that, I'll hand the microphone over to Greg.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be relatively brief. We have sales tax report for December 2023. We received $234,000 and change, just a little bit more than we received in December 2022. For 2023 in total, sales tax received was $6,042,000. That's approximately $230,000 or 4% more than 2022. The 2023 budget was $4.975 million as far as sales tax revenue is concerned. That means that we realized excess sales tax revenue of over $1 million more than we had budgeted. Our 2024 budget this year, of course, is $5.4 million. You'll note that is less than the total we received in 2023. We're very conservative in how we budget sales tax. We observe those trends. As that trend continues, the sales tax budget may continue to increase over time. It's obviously something that Ginny keeps very close track of. Dan Brignon, a maintenance worker on our DPW streets crew, passed his CDL road test after becoming the second employee to complete our in-house entry-level driver training program, which one of our employees, Wayne Hubbard, teaches in OPT. So that's a new program we started just a couple months ago. We've had 2 people through it so far. It's something that helps us train employees who we bring on in titles that do not require CDL, or that may require CDL to be attained in a certain period of time. That helps them obtain their CDL. So that helps us recruit and retain employees. The library annual report has been completed. Public safety building HVAC controls upgrade was authorized in late fall, is nearly complete, and training on that system has been done. Market Street Transportation Improvements Project, the parking garage demolition, as you may have noticed, the garage demo is complete. The retaining wall pile driving is also complete. An issue that arise based on the existing soil conditions in the area require us to drive the piles that are 20 feet deeper than intended. That has been done successfully in order to attain the required bearing capacity. There will be a change, additional cost of approximately $31,500 to do that additional work. Contractor is now moving on to minor water main replacement and asbestos conduit removal. Retaining wall construction will be complete this spring, and the contractor expects to be finished with that project prior to the required completion date of June 2024. Phase 2 of the projects, which will be the remainder of the TRI projects, the Market Street streetscape reconstruction, as well as the construction of the new transit hub, new parking lot, and related improvements to Water Street in the area across the street from us tonight. Those contracts have been awarded. Notices to proceed have been issued to most of the contractors, and we expect that work to be getting underway as spring approaches. The final completion date for all of those contracts is July 31st of 2025. And finally, the private lead service line replacement program that Judy had referenced earlier tonight. Our Community Development Office has been continuing to reach out to eligible residents in the city who we know, based on our records, have a lead service that they own. That's a portion of the water service from the curb stop, essentially the curb to the home. We've had 6 responses most recently based on the postcards that we sent out, so has been successful. We're going to continue to reach out and try to fill that program up. That's something that we have a consultant helping us with, administer, and we expect to see some of that work, or all that work, potentially done this year. That was all I had. Unless there are any questions from council.
Any questions from council?
Hi, thanks. Okay, could you tell us where we can find, did I hear you correctly that the library's annual report is ready? Is that what you said? Could you tell us where we can find that?
You asking me?
Ginny, our finance director is right behind you, I'm sorry. Yeah, just like boring.
I would have to get it from Tina, and then I can forward it all to. Does it get posted anywhere?
I think she puts it on her website.
Okay. That might be cool to have on our finance department section of our website as well. Just, something to think about. Second question, with regard to the Market Street rehabilitation, how does the current state and the future of 27 Market Street, that lot, impact the beginning of that project? Yeah, please.
Okay, well, I didn't hear, oh, you hit the microphone. Really, the 27 Market Street parcel does not impact the parking garage, the parking lot, or transit hub projects.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the Market Street rehabilitation.
Oh, how does the Market Street rehabilitation impact?
How does 27 Market Street impact the Market Street rehabilitation?
It does not. Ultimately, there could be, depending on where they may or may not be a driveway cut and that sort of thing. That would be the only potential impacts. I mean, we'll maintain the driveway cut where it is now on that parcel. Otherwise, there really shouldn't be many impacts. We'll make sure that there's impacts.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any further questions for Greg?
If people get a postcard, does that mean they're impacted?
If people get a postcard, does that mean they're impacted?
Yeah, if you received a postcard, or anyone you know received a postcard referencing the lead water service line replacement program, then that would mean that our records indicate there is a lead water service at the property, and you may be eligible to apply for this program to get funding to have it replaced. So if any of your constituents receive that, feel free to, as I think the letter indicates, call the community development office or email. Or is it Toma Development? I think it's Toma Development, our consultant that they're directed to contact.
Is there anyone else? All right, well, thank you very much, Greg. And now, our last topic on our agenda is something that we promised last time we were together, that we would present an unvarnished assessment of these lots, the specifics. We're going to look to Chief Witzenberg to provide now, if you would, and then I'll follow up with a little bit of information from my tag team, do this just a little bit. Yeah, that's probably the best.
There's not as many people here as there were before, so. I'm not as young as that. I'm easily intimidated. D Street lots essentially new community. It's new construction, 64 units. Essentially, we've built a city block on top of Beach Street. So we've expanded that footprint significantly. And that's provided some complications and growing pains for, I think, everybody involved in the project, whether it's management, the police department, fire department, and I'm here to speak to that tonight to some degree. The D Street lost new construction and use for roughly 7 months from July 2023 to present. The building is a multifamily dwelling operated by the Kearney Group. Beach Street Lofts is a fully enclosed housing complex similar to only one other housing complex in the city, which is Hillside Commons. It's significantly smaller and serves a predominantly student-centered, it's significantly larger and serves a predominantly student-centered population, roughly twice the size. While there have been some concerning issues at Beach Street Lofts, including rumors of drug use and 2 confirmed overdose cases, they're not unique at all to the property, in fact happen throughout the city. We've had 62 responses from the police department, but only 3 arrests and 10 reported offenses from that property itself.
While those numbers are not insignificant, the staff at the lofts were encouraged to call and report issues in an attempt to avoid escalation and present a unified front in creating a safe and welcoming environment. The creation of the building is essentially the creation of a neighborhood with its own ecosystem, having a significant amount of experience in responding to large housing complexes. Predicting where issues may arise is closely tied to the management of the property. Management's been very responsive with us, and we have good cooperation from on-site staff. In this instance, these street lofts would have an entirely new tenancy subject to federal housing guidelines, unlike hillside commons. New tenants mean that there's no long-term stewards of the building or people connected to a culture that's been defined by any kind of established building identity, which is something that we see in many of the other large housing complexes within the city and long-term residents that live there. It's really not hard to see that with the new development, new neighbors navigating a new environment, management rules and expectations are going to face challenges. To look at this objectively, I broke down the numbers of both other large housing complexes as well as a comparative street study for downtown streets. Woodridge Apartments, we've had in the same time frame 11 calls for service, Academy Arms 14, Hillside Commons 15, Oneonta Heights 23, Mayrose Apartments 24, Lettuce Apartments 40, Wilbur Park Apartments 45, and D Street Loft 62. But I would like to remind you that many of those calls have resulted from our encouragement for the staff to call us early in an attempt to stay on top of neighborhood issues and stay current on challenges within the developing community. A check by street was also conducted for call line. Church Street, in the last year, we've had 84 calls for service. Spruce Street, 116. Ford Avenue, 129. Center Street, 133. Maple Street, 133. East Street, 139. And Elm Street, 167. It appears that all of these streets are remarkably similar for a 365-day period, especially given the addition of a residential equivalency of a small city block to that street. And a deeper look at the numbers show the overall calls for service on each street for the years of 2022 and 2023 increased by only 39 calls for the length of the street, despite the addition of 64 additional housing units. We at the police department are committed to the safety of all the people in the city of Oneonta, and will continue to coordinate with management and building superintendent as well as our community partners on any issues where we can have a positive impact. That's all I have. I will say that with projects like this, you have to expect that there's going to be some growing pains. There were some unexpected, I think, surprises by both management and some of the tenants there, but overall, I think we're on the right track at this point.
Chief, can you stay where you are for a little bit, and we'll have some back and forth. I want to add a few bits to this as well. Spent some time with the building manager, and the building manager provided this correspondence to me yesterday. And she writes, since opening our doors here at D Street Lofts, there has been a learning curve dealing with some tenant and non-tenant issues. A significant amount of these problems involve access to our building by non-tenants, loitering, and suspected drug activity. We also have had to address smoking violations and fire alarms. To address these concerns, we replaced the door code with a key fob door entry system. We also installed security cameras in the common areas. Both of these things have been somewhat effective, but we continue to aim toward preventing problems in addition to addressing problems as they arise. Most recently, the Oneonta Police Department has agreed to put a presence in the D Street parking lot to discourage any drug activity and loitering. We are being diligent with lease violations and seeking evictions for any tenant who continually breaks their lease agreements. Our year lease requires a 60-day notice to the tenant to evict them. We are working closely with a local attorney to process these evictions, and it has been moving along. We continue to search for solutions to eliminate unauthorized smoking in the building and continued fire alarms. Our security company was able to replace an an alarm that may have been faulty or too sensitive. That did lessen the amount of alarms, but we are still working on this issue. So what I would suggest is that we have a building manager that is inclined to be proactive and a partner, beyond that, we've also had the opportunity to get connected. Is Kyle here? Are you in the no, I don't see him. No. So Kyle Davis, a resident at 34 Market Street, has been very engaged in, he's a new resident, as is most everybody there, and he wants to live in a building that is safe, and a building that is welcoming, and a building wherein we have an arts contingent that might be, and he's an artist, a musician, where we might be able to take advantage of some of those talents for some of the things that we're trying to do in our community. So we want to engage the building, and he's volunteered to essentially be this position that sounds like a big deal. He's the liaison to the mayor's office for the D Street lofts, which means that we have somebody who will be regularly reporting both to myself and to the police chief. We're asking him to see what he might be able to do to engage artists in the Downtown Renaissance program, provide information about community engagement opportunities to the tenants so that we can more likely have them become part of our community, act as a conduit for monthly reporting of successes and challenges, coordinate with the Oneonta Police Chief to enhance the safety within and outside the building, and to work with our 8th Ward Council member. So that's wonderful. That's kind of what you would hope for. We have somebody within the building who's very interested in seeing that building turns its corner and will be assisting us as I just described. So we have a building management that wants to make the course correction that's necessary. We all want that building to be safe, secure, and a positive addition to our community. We need that. We absolutely need that. They understand that as well. And so these, I think, are all positive things to be considering of. There is one thing, though, for council I think we might want to be considering, which is we do have well, for one thing, we have a task force, as folks know, the Safe Homes and Neighborhoods Task Force. One of the committees on that task force, one of the work groups on that task force is crime prevention through environmental design. Is that correct? Yeah, Chief? And so what that means is taking a look at parts of the city and saying, is this conducive to improper action, or is this a safe place for people, or is this a safe place for people, or is it a potentially threatening place for people? And so what do we need to do to modify that, to make a walk past the D Street lofts something that you have zero concern about because you feel like it's a more safe place. So that is something that potentially our CEPTED, our crime prevention through environmental design group, will be literally taking on as a first focus. The other thing we might want to do is give some consideration as to whether or not we want to extend, and we don't have money for this, but do we want to extend our system of surveillance cameras so that we have something that is more useful to our police department? So there are a few things potentially for council, maybe not this evening, but for council maybe to be considering of as we move forward. Bottom line is we have a partner, yes, and we have seemingly a plan, and it seems like, Chief, you've got a pretty good relationship with the building managers. Before I go to Katie, is there anything you want to add?
No, I mean, like I had said before, I think that, with any new building, and this is the first new housing development of its kind and scale anywhere in the city. So it's only an open side one, so in order to predict what that's going to look like a year from now, I don't know, but we're engaged with them, have very proactive staff, and I think that it's going to be fine. It's just going to take a little time.
Katie,
Yes, please. Chief, thank you for coming. What I hear you saying is give it time, which I can appreciate, and I appreciate that you're taking a proactive approach to it. I actually only found out a couple weeks ago that there haven't been any issues really at all, and so I appreciate people bringing that forward. I guess my question is, you know, it sounds like we're doing, the police department, I'm not doing anything. You are doing what you can in order to, you know, engage the right amount of pressure on the building, right? So that we set expectations for people going forward. I guess my question is, not to you, I would just address you, but is really about the building itself. Mayor, you had mentioned in that letter from the building manager that they're working to process evictions, plural. And I'm just wondering how they got to a place so early in this process where they're needing to process so many evictions. What do their rental practices look like? And are they doing anything to change those rental practices going forward? I would be interested in the answer to that question. Okay, can I have this back after?
I can
don't want to
speak
give it up
on
if I
that if you
can.
like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, can I let the chief go first? Sorry, okay.
So because they accept Section 8, they're bound by housing and urban development rules for priority for people that provide Section 8 vouchers. So they don't have a choice in who they take.
Gotcha. So this is something we can kind of expect to continue then with
But
regard to.
you're not unique. There's several other housing developments that accept housing vouchers. And it's just a matter of working with the management to isolate potential issues. And they'll eventually resolve themselves. It's just, it takes some time. This is a brand new housing project, so, you know, there's going to be a couple bumps in the road on the way.
Okay, thank you for addressing that.
Katie, you want to?
Yeah, sure, if you have something you want to say.
Thank you. So yes, when the D Street lofts opened, it was about a year and change beyond what their expected original timeline was. And you guys might recall that they had rolled out their applications. They were advertising for people to apply, that there'd be a lottery system and so forth and so on. And then the building just took such a much longer time to be able to bring online for reasons that have nothing to do with anything that they did wrong. It was supply chain and other kinds of issues that they couldn't have done anything about. But they wound up with kind of a scattershot application process. And they didn't really wind up messaging probably as well as they would have if everything had gone according to its plan. And so they wound up with some opportunities for some of our local shelters. You know, they saw the opportunities. And those local shelters moved along some folks, you know, that were able to apply. And, you know, the reality of it is, if somebody comes with Section 8 housing and you have an available apartment, they qualify, you know, outside of, you know, some vetting issues that might otherwise, you know, that disallow them, that's theirs, that's their apartment. So they wound up with, I think, a larger number of people who wound up applying with the lack of applications from the greater public than they anticipated. And so the good news, so this is one of the things that they're dealing with the consequence of now, and that's, you know, where some of our evictions, you know, issues are coming from, folks that were maybe not ready or inappropriately connected to, you know, a space like that. And, you know, we have, as I mentioned several times now, we have Safe Homes and Safe Homes and Neighborhoods Task Force, which is just now about to launch. And one of the major goals of that task force is to find congregate housing outside of the city of Oneonta for people who are in that position. So that there's some place besides Oneonta for folks to find themselves not only housing, but also find themselves the support services that they need in a congregate setting. So that's the goal.
And so by the time we get to the next building or buildings that may, because of, the requirements of state funding and their lack of ability to be maybe as discerning as we might want them to be, a lot of that pressure on those buildings will dissipate for the fact that we have been able to address to some degree that relocation piece, which is really key. Everybody needs to have a place to live. And so people well-intentioned were finding a place to live for folks that needed it. And it's caused its issues. I think it's outside of our expectations of what the norm is. And I think it also is further indicated by the fact that as I'm talking with the building manager, she tells me that every week now they get applications, 2 or 3 applications a week from people who are artists that are now just coming to understand that there's an artist's designation in the lofts. Of course, now there really aren't any opportunities for artists around the world. So it's about.
I have some follow-up questions. Is that okay? Okay, so and we've both spoken to the idea that if someone shows up with a Section 8 voucher, that they are basically automatically approved. I have 2 follow-up questions about that. One is, what is the criteria, Mayor, this is the terminology that you use, that would disqualify someone who otherwise would qualify for Section 8 housing? Is it, I don't know,
I think it's pretty limited.
like that?
I think it's pretty limited. There's not many reasons to exclude them.
Okay.
One may be that they're a registered sex offender.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So there are some limited reasons, but I think most people would qualify. And if they've got a volume of people that are applying, you're not going to have a lot of disqualifications.
Okay, and is there a specific percentage of that building that we know of that is held aside for Section 8 candidates, or is it just?
No, I don't believe that there's
So it's like a fluctuating margin,
yeah.
right, between, because I know that at the beginning, there was sort of the low-income segment, and then there was also supposed to be some market rate housing, and I believe that they gave us, like percentages.
The numbers, as I understand it, is there's currently 29 units filled with artists, which is 11 shy of what their projected goal was. So it's not terrible.
Okay. So one of the things that you, so you had mentioned the 62 responses, and I appreciate the idea that, we've added a city block, and I understand all of the thinking behind that. I was wondering if, because we're trying to deal in data, if you could speak to the types of calls that you're responding to at that building.
We've had some warrant arrests, welfare checks, people in the building. We've had some calls that were medical-only calls that we assisted the fire department on. So they really run the gamut. Again, this is basically it's a neighborhood block that we're talking about. There's 64 units. There could potentially be any number of calls under the sun, but we haven't seen anything super extreme. We have had some domestic disputes, some fights. Again, this goes to a new environment and people trying to navigate that. I think there may be some tensions. There may be some frustration with the rules and regulations of the building. We're talking about people.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm hearing kind of in the community is that there's a perception of enhanced drug usage in that area. Would you say that your call data supports that statistic?
Somebody fatally overdosed at Fox Hospital last year. It's a national problem, opioid abuse, especially proliferation of fentanyl is a major public safety and health issue. There's been on average over 100,000 deaths from overdoses a year in the United States. So this is not a unique problem to this building.
Yeah.
It just happens to be an easy target and low-hanging fruit because it's new and I think to some degree it's disrupted traffic patterns because now we have a diminished number of parking spaces. Some walking space has been filled now with the building. So, you have an obstruction that people have to walk around. as far as calls, they're going to increase foot traffic because you have now again 64 units, which is probably over 100 and some 40, 50 people that are living there. So you're going to see increased foot traffic. Again, we don't have any control over who they can and can't put in there, but once they start to establish good stewards for each floor, and then we see it in all the other buildings that we have people that we know that we can go to for information and a feel for what's going on in the neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you for answering my question. Mayor, last question is for you with regard to septic. Has that been populated already?
Yeah, actually, at this point now,
sorry.
So at this point, yes, at this point, all of our committees, all of our work groups are populated. This Ed Overby has been great. I mentioned him during the State of the City. So all of those have been populated. We can continue to populate, and we will, but we're at a place where we can rock and roll. And I just want to piggyback on something the Chief was alluding to, I think. Relative to the numbers of calls and the nature of calls, I believe, were there 2 individuals that might have been responsible for a good chunk of those calls, and those 2 individuals, I believe, are...
That's the case with everything that we have in the city. We've had people that we've had 130 or 40 interactions with in a year.
Right.
I believe one of them, we just handed out a form to some of the licensed establishments. We had 25 calls since December 23rd on that individual, and now the calls are drying up. It's just a matter of addressing things on an individual basis. It's more like surgery than it is like hitting a nail with a hammer.
So I guess my point is that the Chief and the Police Department have done the great work that they do, and they've identified some of the folks that are more often going to be problematic, have developed relationships, I'm sure, of one sort or another. And so if you remove magically a couple of folks from the equation, you're actually probably looking at a very different profile, just to keep things in perspective.
For example, the 2 suspected one confirmed, 1 suspected overdoses that we had there were from 1 person. Those are 2 separate people. So, it's complicated.
Yes, Shannon.
I just want to thank you for shedding light on all of this. There was a lot flying around that people didn't know, and I just appreciate you for coming here and setting things straight. And kind of as a side note, I want to shout out the Chief and OPD because they're always striving and working hard to make sure our community's needs are being met. And lately they've been really ensuring that. So I want to shout out that too. But thank you. Thank you for bringing this to the table.
My pleasure.
That's great, thank you. Is there anybody else on? Yes, Emily. Scott, would you?
Hi. Okay. Thanks, Chief, for all that data about the deed swaps. I live right around the corner from the deed swaps. I think my biggest concern and why I kind of brought up this project is that when the city of Oneonta was presented with this project, we were told that this was going to be a housing complex for artists that was going to increase foot traffic for our businesses in the community. And I think it's kind of fair to say that it's not that, right? I'm not saying that, I'm not against fair housing or affordable housing, but this was supposed to be a project for artists. How many units in that building are housing artists? Keno memberships are not up. And now it seems like, the city is once again, awesomely dealing with another problem, but it kind of seems like it's another problem that now the city has to take a burden on. So the reason why I wanted to discuss this is because there is a very similar project being proposed right now for downtown. And if there's no accountability for those developers to do what they say they're going to do and to provide like, for example, we're going to provide residences to people who are artists and they're going to have to apply as artists. There's a heavy vetting process. These are all things that I was told about the Dietz Lofts, and this is not the case. So how do we know that if and when this new RSS building goes up, as council thinks about this decision, as you think about this decision, just keep this in mind, right? How do we know that this isn't going to turn into something else than what is initially proposed? And how is that developer held accountable? Thank you.
Any other council members have a thought or anything they want to bring to the conversation?
I got a question.
Scott.
I should have just kept the mic.
Yes, you should.
So, Chief, you may not know this off the top of your head, but roughly how many calls do you run a year?
That we run a year,
Yeah.
right around 10,000 call mark.
So an increase of 39 on your 10,000 really,
It's statistically insignificant.
okay. Thanks.
I will say though, I get Louisa from last time we got together, her concern about a perception of the exterior of the building and how safe the goings on are there and how transparent as transparent it is. And it's something I do believe that the council, again, maybe not tonight, but we do probably need to give some thought to sort of the potential options. And maybe Chief, you'll have some thoughts that we can bring to council in terms of how we may be able to mitigate what I don't think is currently our best appearance for, especially in the evening, of the rear, well, it's actually, I guess, the front of that building, although it faces the parking lot. So it's just, we want everyone to not only feel safe, but to be safe. And so there'll be council conversation, and Chief, I'm going to appreciate any input that you may be able to bring to council relative to anything they want consider.
The last thing that I'll say is that while we don't have much control over what they do with the interior of the building in regards to hardwired cameras, how many they put in, I can say that Hillside Commons has got dozens of them. I know 22 Market Street's got a very good camera system. The D Street parking lot is a public parking lot, and the D Street itself is public. And it would be advantageous for us, for any number of reasons, to have better surveillance from downtown in that area. So, that's a council decision. It's something that I think you should at least consider.
I appreciate that, Chief. All right, with that, I think we can let you go. Again, thank you very much, Chief Osborne. And that now brings us to the point where I'll ask if there's any additional business for council consideration. Katie? Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I know it's weird because you forget. Yes, so two things. A county partner of mine shared an interesting GIS tool that's available on the county website that actually maps overdose response data. It is at, if you search, Google search, because I don't have the website handy, Otsego County Harm Reduction, and then click on that link. It will show you. Oneonta, as expected, right, is kind of the hub of that data because we have more people, we have more, services, and we all know that we're dealing with that problem. But I think that's just very interesting, an interesting tool, and just kudos to the county for putting it together, and I wanted to share with everyone. The other thing that I wanted to share is that if you are a resident of the 4th Ward, I saw a lot of you here, I'm going to have coffee just to chat about some neighborhood things. If you are 4th Ward adjacent, like across the street or something, you're totally welcome. So just reach out to me like email or on my Facebook council page, and we'll figure that out. I would like folks to RSVP just so that I know where, possible locations could be, so, thank you.
Have we, any other
March 2nd.
business from council members?
You said March 2nd.
It's March 2nd, just say it.
March 2nd is the meeting. And do you have a location?
I don't yet, it depends on how many people are gonna come.
Watch Facebook.
So with that, I don't believe we have a need for executive session, although we do, this is the time to chime in. Do not. So, folks, Jenny?
Can I just make a technical correction on the transfer? This is just for the minutes.
That's fine.
Thank you. Just a budget correction on the transfer. The very first line should have been 464 for purchase services
Did I
instead of
misspeak?
no, it's typed up wrong. My typo, so thank you.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much. And I would say, folks, 3 hours again, and those who were here for the State of the City speech, thank you so much for your attendance for that and your attendance throughout this meeting. We are all the City of Oneonta's government, so I appreciate you. Thank you. We're adjourned.